and others. Does for example, the budget of a ministry, maybe Ministry of Energy or Ministry of Water or Ministry of Works, does their budget, for example, is it talking to the people? If you talk about G&E, you're talking about gender and equity, you're talking about the people. And the people, who are the people? The people of the Republic of Uganda. We are talking about the poor, we are talking about the older persons, we are talking about persons with disabilities, we are talking about the women, we are talking about the elites, the people who have gone to school. Are you catering for them in the budget? So as a commission, we have done that well. We have advised, in most cases, the Minister of Finance to issue certificates. And had done other things. But in addition to that, we also go into social justice. We've actually gone into social justice where people are discriminated based on their age. For example, I'll give an example. During the mass registration of national ID, there's a group or there's a tribe in Kiryandongo called the Malagoli. Then Malagoli had been denied access to national ID on the claims that they are not Ugandans, on the claims that they came from Kenya, and yet they have been here. They were born here, and their parents came here. Okay, they came from maybe Kenya, but way back in the 1950s, and these children have been born here, and they needed a national ID. So they petitioned the commission to make sure that they get national ID and they're not discriminated on the basis that they're not Ugandans. And we as a commission, we actually made sure that we put, for example, NIRA and talked to NIRA, and we had a dialogue between us and NIRA, and NIRA agreed with us, and these people actually were given the chance to, they have national IDs in simple terms right now, and that was because of the commission. Wow. But also, in addition to that, we have worked on a number of cases through our legal department. We have a tribunal. Every day we receive cases on the basis of discrimination and marginalization. People complain to us, and we actually redress this whatever they tell us. We actually come in handy. We have solved so far over 3,000 cases as a commission, and these cases are in line with marginalization and discrimination. You may be discriminated at work based on your sex. You may be discriminated at work because you're a person with disability. You may be discriminated at work because maybe you are a Muganda and they don't want to give you a job because you're a Muganda. They want an Acholi, or they want a Langi, or they want a Muchiga. So if you find out and you find out that I have been discriminated at work and my contract has been terminated because of my color or because of my tribe, please come to the commission. We are ready to come in. We are ready to help you. And
there are people who are far away, Mr. Lukungu.
Yes.
Maybe they're not in Kampala. How do they access you?
So we as a commission, we only not work at Kampala Kingdom where our headquarters are. We move there. We move to this and do our investigations. Okay. We do our investigations. And when you come to the commission, you're not going to pay any coin. We have our lawyers. These lawyers are paid by government. The judges are paid by government. So when you come, we know now at that time you're vulnerable. So we give you free lawyers to actually defend you against the discrimination. So the other person that you're complaining about will hire the lawyers, but for us, we shall give you the lawyers. We've done legal aid clinics. We've carried out legal aid clinics across the country to make sure that imbalances within the communities, the imbalances that exist in our country are actually addressed. We don't also stop at that. We also do mindset change. We do mindset change by teaching the community to engage into government programs. There are people who don't know that maybe, for example, maybe they are supposed to participate in the parish development model. We as a commission, we go and encourage Ugandans, please, can you participate? Can you participate in these government programs? Because if you participate, you'll be part of the economy. You'll be participating. You'll be contributing something to the economy of Uganda, and we want you. So we also do mindset change of our people so that they can be part and parcel of this country.
Mr. Lukungu, for those who are just joining us, I'm with Mr. Bashir Lukungu. He's a head research at the Equal Opportunities Commission there. And if someone would ask, or someone was just joining in, yes, and is like, what are they talking about? If someone asks, what is Equal Opportunity Commission, in just brief, how would you define that again? Like
I said, like I've said earlier, and I have said that the Equal Opportunities Commission is a constitutional body established by an Act of Parliament of 2007 to give effect to the state's constitutional mandate to eliminate any discrimination and marginalization that exists against any individual based on age, sex, creed, religion, and any other type of that, okay, any other type of marginalization that we may talk about. Someone may discriminate you based on where you come from. But besides that, also we come up with, I'm just summarizing what we do, we actually come up with forms on how to redress those imbalances or the discrimination that exists against those individuals. So when we come up with the redresses that we're talking about here, those redresses should be in favor of the person that is marginalized, should be in favor of the person that has been discriminated.
After receiving the redresses, yes, what happens? So, for example, what happens? Yeah, here we're talking about legal, in terms of legal. We receive the cases. When we receive the case, whatever, either at Kampala Kingdom where our officers are or from the field, we investigate. We have an investigation department. We investigate to ascertain the truth, the facts. After investigating, then we of course call the other person they are complaining about. The person now, okay, now that time it's now a claim. If they are claiming that so and so, for example, Chintu is discriminating Bashir, of course you have to know that there is a complaint against me. So we give you chance. We give you chance to defend yourself. So now we call you. You give in your defense. But after giving in your defense, so we do the investigation through our investigation department. Yes. But after that, we also, after the investigations are done, then we don't go direct to, like I said we have a tribunal. So this commission is formed in a sense that we have 5 members of the commission that are appointed by the president, so that are supposed to do the judgment. But we don't first get there. And actually they are involved in the process, in every process that we're talking about here. So they are informed and they know, they are aware of what is going on. So in that, after receiving the complaints and you are aware and we've done our investigation, of course the first thing that you need to do in any courts is not going to court direct. There can be a mediation. The matter may be it could be solved. It could be for outside us, and when we are the mediators, then you agree that yes, for example, you are not giving a portion of the property of this daughter because she's a female. For example, there is sharing property, inheritance. Some certain families and certain cultures believe that girls are not supposed to own land. They're not supposed to own land, or they're not supposed to share property of their deceased parents. But that's the law is very clear. So you also intervene in that? Yes, the law is very, yes, you may, the family, the deceased may have had boys and girls, but the family sits and says, we are only giving property to the girls. So the girls now here, and that's where now the EOC Act comes in. The girls here have been discriminated on the basis of sex. I've said to give the constitutional mandate to eliminate any forms of discrimination based on the following. For example, sex, creed, religion. So now this time around, these girls have been discriminated based on their sex. So we are now, as a commission, the constitution gives us powers to come and redress the imbalance now based on the sex.
So now we come in, the girl comes or the woman comes to complain to us that I have not been given property because I am a woman. So we now invoke the law. The law is very clear that 75% of the property shall be shared among the children. Is it talking about boys only or girls only?
Children are children.
So children are children. So now we come in to solve and to actually redress that imbalance among the family members. If they are not, after solving, I'm giving that as an example, if they are not satisfied with what we have said or with our judgment, now they can petition the High Court. So you don't go to any other court, now it's petitioning the High Court. But also, we give you now assurance, if they petition the High Court, we as the Commission, we stand with the person that has been discriminated or marginalized. So we move with you with our lawyers. So you now have 3 lawyers from the Commission.
Mr. Okungu, there's been a lot of challenges in places of work.
Yes.
Imbalances, marginalization based on tribe. And I hope you've had sentiments, you've had narratives that this tribe, and places of work. Not only that, there's been also some imbalances in when some women, their places of work, when they don't allow women to get pregnant, yet they're married.
Okay. So, yeah, I know Ugandans, in most cases, it's a null. We as researchers, we always say it's a null. It's the perception. But that perception now has to be put to an investigation. And now the investigation is the research that you do. You set out certain objective to go and find out, is it true that in this country, only certain tribes, for example, are being employed? You get it? So now, if the community or the Ugandans are complaining and saying that certain tribes, that's now an imbalance now. Certain tribes are working for only government. So for us as the Commission, we are there now to prove, because in research there is what we call a type 1 error and a type 2 error. The type 1 where you reject the null, you accept the null without putting it to an investigation. Okay. And then the type 2, you reject it still without putting it to an investigation. So now for us, we want to avoid the type 1 and type 2 errors by doing a research and proving the point, and proving that indeed what you either saying we agreeing with you or not agreeing with you, because the statistics are here and are proven.
Now I understand that you're working in the Constitution of Uganda, the Article 20, which says presumption of innocence until proven guilt.
So we don't want you, the public, to accuse government of certain things, yet they are not. Actually, yet it's not true. So for us as a Commission, we are there, like the Constitution gives us the power to redress the imbalances. So, but also through redressing the imbalances, it has to go through a research. That's why you hear of this book called The State of Equal Opportunities in Uganda. This is the 10th annual report on the state. This is the 10th annual report on the state of equal opportunities in Uganda. And this state of equal opportunities in Uganda, it has thematic areas. For example, in this financial year, the other financial that ended, we looked at major thematic areas. For example, we look at political participation, how, for example, women, youth, older persons, and persons with disabilities participating, or how are they benefiting in terms of how are they participating at cabinet level, how is the cabinet composition in terms of women versus men, and currently women constitute 45.8% of the cabinet. Then you get to, for example, we went to parliament, how are the youth, in terms, how are the youth participating at parliamentary level, how are the women participating at parliamentary level. So after that, now you get to, and then persons with disabilities, older persons. The report is all talking about that. But now you get to local government. And this is where I want to discuss something. Actually, I want to tell Ugandans that yes, there is something called affirmative action. Affirmative action in a sense that women, for example, at parliamentary level, we have women members of parliament. That is an affirmative action, that women cannot stand against men for women members of parliament. So it's only women. So you realize that we have more members of parliament because of affirmative action. If you look at this report, how many members of parliament are women and they stood directly with men in the constituencies? There are few. A good example is our line minister, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development in Oyam. She's a constituency member of parliament. Yes. So there are few of them, they are around, I think, only 14. Exactly. Yes, they are only 14. So, but now, the use of affirmative action was to empower the women, for example, to ably compete with the men in the different political space. But as this worked, for example, leave at parliament where we have more members of parliament who are women, go to local government. How many women do we have, for example, at local government level that are LC5 chairperson? Our percentages are saying only 2.6%. That means without affirmative action, we cannot have women leading us in this country. And now that's where you say, as affirmative action had an impact. Because the impact that we are talking about, that even if women are up there, the mindset of our community or our population should be changed. That anybody, as long as you have the competence, irrespective of your sex, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your tribe, you can be anything and lead us. Are people voting members of parliament? Are people voting colleagues in offices at LC1, LC2, LC3 based on their competence, or they are actually voting them based on their sex, that they are men, that men can lead us? Is that still the culture of our people? So because this now, that's why you look at that local government level, and the question lingers in your mind, that are people understanding that even the women can lead us? Because LC1, how many LC1 chairpersons do we have? Only 3%. The 3% means for every 100 women that 100 people that you meet, 100 LC1s that you meet, you only find 3 women. That's what it means. You only find 3 women. 97 of them are men. So are we voting people based on the competence, or are we voting people based on their sex? Just as simple as that. And then you say, as affirmative action worked to help women to make sure, because in working in a sense that it is even supposed to empower women, that I have seen the Right Honorable Jovia being a member of parliament. I've seen that being she's in parliament for. So I should start from LC1 and stand with this man and also win. But in a sense, it has not worked. For me, it has not worked, because we still have few women who are in this position that are not ring-fenced, that they are women for women. Because we expect to have more women leading us. I'm giving an example, more women leading us. For example, me, I would say maybe if I am of a certain tribe, I'm an Ik, and I am competent enough, and I went to Luwero, am I able to win a position in Luwero based on my competence? Wow. Because this is what we are saying, that people are still voting that Ugandans, we are still engaged in the politics of tribe. That we are not, I will not vote you because this man is an Ik. If you analyze the parliament of Uganda, if we start from parliament of Uganda, how many of members of parliament, for example, are for example, I would say in Teso, and they are not Itesots? Because this is where that's where we pick that we have understood our politics. But just you may be competent enough, but the first disqualification from the community is you're not part of us. And that is not, that is now what we are supposed to fight as the Equal Opportunities Commission. Exactly. That's what we are supposed to tell people, that indeed you are not supposed to vote somebody based on the tribe. Vote this person based on on competence.
Actually, I've been seeing it. Actually, what you're saying, the competence has been happening, I think, in the central region. Yes. Seeing the people, the Mugishas we have voted in the Mitiana, and they left out.
And it's because there's mild tribal in central, mild tribal. That's why you see somebody is there because is voted and is not from that area and is voted, but because he has other people from his, we are still engaged in politics of tribe.
But Mr. Lukungu, someone may say that even there are some places which are mal-tribal. When you go to Mbarara, I mean, the Uganda is...
And that's what we are saying.
When you go to Acholi, recently we are seeing the Balalo being asked to evacuate that place. Yet there are Balalo who have been there for 20 years, and they're saying that Mulalo cannot buy land in this place because it's not an Acholi.
And that's what we are saying, that we need to move away from the politics of tribe. We need to move away from things to do with tribe and live as Ugandans.
And own Uganda.
And you own Uganda.
Ugandans.
Yes, we should be Ugandans. Let us not look at ourselves as Acholis. Let us not look at ourselves as Basoga. Let us not look at ourselves as Baganda. Let us be Ugandans. Exactly. If I come to Mbarara, I can own a property in Uganda as a Ugandan and take me in as a Ugandan.
Now, let me ask a question, Mr. Lukungu. At what point do we render a place, a company, an environment, a community imbalance?
So yes, for example, I would say an imbalanced workplace is this. If I came to this place, this TV, and person with disability, there are no ramps, for example, there are no lifts for person with disabilities. That place is not inclusive. That means a person with physical impairment cannot enter here. The doors, you don't have toilets for persons with physical, for example, physical impairment. If you go to a workplace and they cannot recruit a person, for example, with visual impairment, because they feel they are going to spend more, they are going to buy laptops with JAWS. That is unconditional. The police is not conducive for everybody. Is not inclusive enough. Because that's what we are saying, that we, as the commission, we are supposed to, we have done we did a study on infrastructure around actually cities and actually Kampala, how accessible they are, for example, to persons with disabilities. This is not only in actually at workplace, but also in the education, hospitals. For example, in this particular report, that in the 10th annual report, we are saying that let the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with higher institutions of learning that are teaching health-related courses, come up with a course unit that teaches sign language interpretation.
Exactly, because recently in Western Uganda, there was a challenge in the health sector where people who are visually impaired, I mean, who are hearing impaired, they can't receive treatment because no one understands what they're saying.
And that's what we are saying, that we have found out that there are no sign language interpreters across all health facilities in the country. We as the commission, we are saying, because there we are discriminating them, they are not getting a service.
Yes.
Maybe because the doctors cannot clearly communicate to these people. Even when they find out what they are suffering from, the drugs cannot be taken in the right way because of lack of communication. So as the commission, we are saying, can the Ministry of Health, in liaison with the Ministry of Education and higher institution of learning, come up with a curriculum or a course unit that teaches sign language interpretation to the medical workers, so that by the time you are out of the medical school, you can even speak the sign, you can actually communicate using sign language.
Mr. Lukungu, are your efforts to engage these other stakeholders yielding result? Because when you come to media houses, we don't even, many houses don't have interpreters on TVs. Yes. And there are so many people who are impaired and they can't even understand what's going on, yet it's going on. How are your efforts in becoming fruitful in this? Okay,
yes. When we identify, for example, we identify certain gaps, because for us we are like we said, we have to have, there's what we call balanced development and balanced growth. So when we identify some imbalances, we recommend to the agencies responsible
Like?
I've given an example, maybe Ministry of Works. If there's a problem, we recommend to the ministry. Yeah, and then we do the follow-up. We don't only stop at following up, we do a tracking. To ascertain that if we said, for example, I'm talking about sign language interpretation, soon we shall, after some time, we shall write the ministry to ascertain how far they have gone with implementing our recommendation. If they tell us that indeed we have implemented your recommendation and you have health workers that can easily communicate in sign language interpretation, we tell them where have you deployed them. They tell us we have deployed them in Karachi. We move to Karachi to ascertain, to confirm the existence and the implementation of our recommendation. So we write, if you are the agents code X, we write to you and inform you of the imbalance that is existing that we have identified. After that, after we give you some time to implement our recommendation, then we write to you. You tell us that we have done A, B, C, D, and you say in the places A, B, C, D. So we move there. That's what we call tracking. That is monitoring and evaluation. We monitor, we evaluate. We don't only actually monitor to ascertain, we also evaluate how effective has the intervention that we've implemented to the people of Uganda.
Mr. Lukungu, there is a lot of imbalance in education. There are so many regions in Uganda that the education sector is literally in shambles. How do you do that? I think this is attributed to maybe some other tribes not being incorporated in some certain job sectors, doesn't it?
So you see, like for example, I'll maybe still get to this report. We've done a performance of it. You may say, why are these people doing performance of O-level and A-level? But education is, you see in Uganda to be employed in a certain sector or in a certain area or in a certain ministry, you have to be qualified. So you realize that if performance, if a certain district or certain sub-region is affected in terms of performance, that means they will have high dropouts and high teenage pregnancy. And if you look at our findings, you realize that the districts and sub-regions that are performing poorly are those ones that actually are very poor, according to WUBO's statistics. That, so for example, sub-regions like Acholi, Bukedi are actually being badly in PLE and UCE. Yes. So the implication is that there is a correlation between engaging yourself, for example, in the employment sector and being educated.
Yes.
If there are no services, you will not have, for example, if you don't have services for learners with disability, then you will not have in the future you won't be having disabled persons working for government or working for the private sector. So this is the time that the imbalance has to be worked on, has to be addressed. For example, if there are no teachers, and like we said, we have inadequate, not lack, but we have inadequate special needs education teachers across the country. So for us as a commission, we are saying, not only should we, even the ministry department in charge of SNE, special needs education, its budget should be increased, because these are the people that are in charge of special needs, and they are experts in special needs education. So, and the special needs education is not a cheap thing. I'll tell you, I'll give an example. Just a braille machine, if you bought a braille machine at 6 million, you need to service that braille machine after some time. The JAWS that I've been talking about here, because learners with visual impairments, to study well, they need, for example, laptops that have JAWS. They need braille information. That is not cheap.
That's not cheap.
So that means government has to invest heavily in that to make, and they are all Ugandans. We should not leave them behind. The moment we leave them behind, they are going. I've told you, there's a correlation between you not going to school and poverty.
Mr. Lukungu, let's go just direct to the 10th annual report which you released. It was indicating a lot of stuff, a lot of imbalance in the country, in the job sector, and something must be done. Please, would you just dive us into briefly?
So, yes. For example, it's not that we talked about employment, for example. Employment in the MDAs, the MDAs, and then we talked about CEOs.
where we said 47% of the CEOs are from Western Uganda, and that's a fact. And then 20% are from Northern Uganda, 18% from Central, and then only 15% are from East. So, of course, you realize that the sub-regions that are doing well in terms of the CEOs, actually the sub-regions that are not even poor, according to UBO statistics. So you see that, look at the sub-regions that are not doing well in terms of even people that are not employed in government or are not working for government. They still realize that they're the ones that are doing badly in terms of poverty. But if you move away from the CEO and people that are working for government, the constitution is very clear that there should be balanced development, or that there should be everyone, inclusivity in everything that we do as a country. So if we realize, apparently the results are not so bad in terms of how the jobs are distributed, but also there are certain people that are actually out of working for government. For example, the ethnic minorities. And people are not looking at that, the ethnic minorities. You tell me any ministry, department, and agency that is employing a Mutwa.
Of course.
And you know why?
Really? No.
Because the statistics before showed us that we didn't have graduates. We had only one graduate who was a Mutwa.
Actually, that's
from
what,
Kisolo.
Sorry to cut you short. That's what I was thinking. Maybe the imbalance sometimes is not intentional. But there are some regions who are, the education system in that place, the health system there, it is higher than the other regions. What would you think then?
So that's why we are saying that I'll give an example. If you have a school called Usoga College in Muiri and has the facilities,
yes,
you should have a similar school called Chisolos, maybe high school, with the same facilities like that one of Soga College Muiri. So that Elana in Kisolo goes through the same environment like Elana at Soga College Muiri. So that the level is ground. You have a level ground. It's a level ground to the extent that you can be even the teachers at Usoga College should be the same teacher, should have the same qualification, same experience, like Karamoja. You get, so that the learners go through the same experience, not going through different experiences, yet they are going to sit the same exams. So that we, even in terms of performance, let your technical you as your competence as a learner maybe affect you in terms of performance, not again saying I did not perform well because I did not have the infrastructure, we did not have the teachers, we did not have the distance from home to school was far and I would miss school sometime. You get what I'm talking about? Yes. That if a school, the distance from your home to the school is in Karamoja is 5 kilometers. Let the school in Bundibujo be the same kilometers, so that these learners are subjected. I'm talking about standard, if it's a standard. If the world standard is that the school should be within a radius of 2 kilometers. And we have certain districts that have districts within the standard. Then all districts should have schools within the standard, so that in Uganda, there is something called Tewalukwasa that government has provided. And now it's upon you as a learner and a parent to make sure that your child actually studies, revises, and does, but the equipment that is actually the things that government is supposed to do to facilitate education have been done.
Do you think imbalances are intentional or they're not?
They're not intentional because, imbalances are not intentional.
Have you been to supermarkets around Kampala and you find a certain tribe in there? Have you been to certain medias? There is a certain tribe. I mean, you go to some health centers, the leader, the vice, the spokesperson, and you're like, are these the only qualified persons?
So you see, that's where we are saying that that's the null of us. That's what we think. That's our perception. That we think we are looking at people by their faces. you may look at me and say this man is from Western Uganda, but I am not. You get it? So let us not judge, and that's what the Constitution says. Let us not judge people based on their faces, or their color, on their faces. Let us judge them as Ugandans. You get it? We are judging them as Ugandans, not based on their color, not based on their age, because they are youth. They should not participate in this.
What if the judgment was true, Mr. Lukungu?
And that's why this report is telling you, is giving you facts on ground. We are removing the null of that. We are giving you facts. We are giving you what it is. You get it? What it is. And now, after, if we have identified the imbalances that we have identified, we have recommended the different ministries, departments, and agencies to address them, to make sure that there is balanced growth and development.
Suppose it is not implemented. Now, that brings us to a question. What could be the challenges you're facing?
So, we as a commission, if we don't implement Section 15 of our Act, gives us powers to summon you. And even take you on, you can even jail you.
Are there examples of people who've been serving?
Yes, if you go, they are off head, maybe the legal department can easily answer that. But I'm telling you, I know as a matter of fact that we have summoned a number of CEOs, we've summoned a number of permanent secretaries, ministers, we have summoned a number of directors of private entities.
I've not, my ears are itching to hear. We've summoned the head of the army, the head of the police, the head of the security.
If there are any imbalances in the army, we shall summon. If there are any imbalances in police, we shall summon. If there are imbalances in prisons, we shall summon. If anybody complained about the army, we shall do the summoning. If anybody complained about police, that their staff, we write to the IGP. We shall summon, actually, not write, we shall summon the IGP, we shall summon the CDF if there are imbalances in the army. But we have not received those complaints, that's why you've not seen us summoning them.
Mr. Lukungu, you seem to have a very, very insurmountable task ahead of you. Yes. Where do you get the funding?
Yes.
Who funds you?
It's government of the Republic of Uganda and some, actually I will tell you this and I'll be clear on this. This work is by the government of the Republic of Uganda. Is the one that gives us money. We are a constitutional body, like I said. We are a government parastatal that receives money every financial year and money quarterly to do this work. So this work here, everyone is talking about, was funded by government through the Ministry of Finance,
so that means
Planning and Government.
I'm right to say that you're working for government?
We work for government, but work for the people. Actually, you see, we as a commission, we are a constitutional body that receives a budget, that plan every financial year that we are going to do A, B, C, D. And whatever we are here, government is in the know, and we present it, because this report goes to Parliament and a copy to the President. So we don't stop at this. So we inform Parliament about this. We give this copy to the Speaker of Parliament to make sure that the imbalances that we have cited, Parliament can also take on the different entities that we mentioned. The President, through his cabinet, can act on this.
Mr. Lukungu, how would you tell a Ugandan who's watching that there will not be any conflict of interest? Because I'm finding it difficult to believe how a monkey can advocate for deforestation. I mean, being that you're funded by these guys, being that these are your bosses, how can you critique them? How can you really point on the log which is in their eye? Then
this is what I would tell you. Then we would not produce what we produced, the media is talking about. We would not produce what we produced if there is any conflict of interest. A good example, we've produced this and everyone is talking about the status of employment in the country. People are talking about the loan scheme. We could not. Because it is statutory obligation. The Constitution, who is government, by the way? Government is the people. Everyone works for government, even the president works for the people. So who is government? Government is you and me. So it is you funding me through the taxes that you're paying. It is you funding this report. It is you funding this report because the taxes that URA collects, you give me to make sure. Yes, when I, for example, are there challenges? Are there imbalances in the trade that the Equal Opportunities Commission can help to address so that I have a smooth flow when I'm doing trade? so that I am not discriminated when I'm at customs or when I'm clearing my goods. What are those challenges? We want complaints come as traders if you've been discriminated based on your age, based on your sex, based on your tribe, based on anything, based on creed, anything. Come and complain to us so that there is smooth flow. That's why you see this report is talking about the different subsectors of government. We're talking about human capital development, we're talking about political participation, we're talking about infrastructure development, distribution of loans. So if as government, when you got those loans to have the infrastructure in agriculture, the infrastructure in works, how is it distributed?
Mr. Lukungu, unfortunately, we have to cut it from here, but I must say thank you so much for coming. Please, you have to come back again and split this more, because it's been so quite interactive and informative. Now, if someone cannot come to Kingdom Building,
yes,
how can they locate you? Maybe that will be the last in the camera, sir.
Okay. Yeah, for us, if you cannot come to Kampala Kingdom, we are saying, I need to read to you the numbers. If you cannot come to Kampala Kingdom, you can call us on the toll-free line 08 00 100 440. So you can, even if you are in Bundibujo, you are in Arua, you are in Koboko, Yumbe, call us, we shall come there.
Okay. Any social media platforms so they can reach you or something like that?
Yes, we have our Twitter handle. I think it's Equal Opportunity something. We'll get that. Maybe we shall give it to you.
Yes,
and
sir.
Post
All right.
it there.
Yeah, been joined by Mr. Bishel Lukungu, head their research at Equal Opportunity Commission in Uganda, tackling the state of equal opportunities in Uganda. Thanks so much. My name is Sintu Mutisasira Senior. Don't forget to call the toll-free number 0880800440. The number is going to be displayed and we'll be keeping it on our social media platforms. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for joining in. Until tomorrow, same time, same place on Monday. Bye for now.